Hi guys, I thought for this lesson we'd start discussing modes. What I was just playing there was an A Dorian mode. Okay, so what is that? We've probably all heard about modes, but we're kind of confused or scared about them. Well, an A Dorian mode is just a G major scale starting on the second step, which happens to be A. So you might be thinking, well, why would I use that? Well, the chords in the backing track here, let me let you hear them, okay? Okay, so that is a cool little Andy Timmons riff there, and Andy's kind of doing a Hendrixy sort of thing, but if we were to distill everything down, you're basically hearing an A minor chord going to a D major chord. So you're probably thinking, well, why don't I just play an A minor scale? Well, if you were to look at the notes and the chords, A minor or A minor 7, if we want to extend it a little bit, is going to be A, C, E, G, okay? And that does work in an A minor scale. But the D major chord that we're playing over is going to be D, F sharp, and A. And unfortunately, an A minor scale does not have an F sharp. So, you know, we could take the approach of playing an A minor scale over A minor and a D major scale over D major. It's kind of a jazz approach. But if we want it to be as flowing and melodic, if I can attempt to blanket the two chords with one scale or mode, it's going to sound probably more like a singer. Okay, so the G major scale happens to contain the notes of both of those chords. Okay, so to make it effective though, to get started with this, I need to know where the A starting points are, right? And we'll talk about that in a second, but you may be thinking, well, why would that sound different? You know, just starting a G major scale from a different point. Why wouldn't it just sound like a G major scale? Well, the thing is, in Western music theory, or in Western music, let's say, we write a lot of things from the major starting point, right, or the minor starting point. And so we're very used to that sound. So if I were to play an A minor scale, okay, and tell you what, I'll let an A string drone over this so you can hear it. So here's A minor. Okay, sounds pretty normal. Now, if we compare it though, that G major scale that we're going to start on A, which we call A Dorian, okay, because A is the second step, and Dorian always means second step of the major scale, and in this one starting on A, okay? So this is a G major scale, but starting on A. The difference is a G major scale has an F sharp. So what you're going to hear is that note is going to sound raised, or you're going to hear this higher up kind of sound to it, which will make it sound slightly exotic. So there's the A, here we go. Okay, so this gives you that minor sound, but it gives it a little something extra that sounds kind of jazzy or exotic about it. And that gives you a little something different to do there, okay? But it doesn't sound so out of place there that it's completely different, right? So if you were doing like something like diminished or something, so if we did A diminished, okay, that's really cool, but it sounds completely different, and that could sound really whacked out to somebody. Okay, so what's great about Dorian, and the reason we use it a lot, is it gives you a little extra jazzy bluesy thing, but it still works over A minor and A minor 7 chords. But what's really different about it is that note that's raised, which is right there, instead of that for the minor, instead of that, right? If we were to count that up, that's actually the 6. So if you were to count within like an A minor chord, so if we went, there's the 5, 6, okay? So that's the note that's different, okay? So really the sound of Dorian is like A minor 6, or minor 6, let's just say, okay? So that's a specific thing that it does. So if I highlight that flavor of the mode there, when you're playing it, right? So if we had a, gives you that kind of mysterious, exotic thing, but still sounds completely pleasing to someone who doesn't know music theory. Okay, so that helps me tackle that problem. Now this is useful because a lot of times in in blues and jazz and rock, maybe we're playing sort of like a minor blues, kind of like the Thrill Is Gone, like B.B. King sort of thing. So if we had that sort of, okay, so you might be playing A minor pentatonic over that, or blue note, but maybe you need something else, right? So we're accustomed to hearing like John Mayer, and people are going, well, okay, where's he getting that from? Well, if you're thinking about it, that was one of the extra notes. If you think of pentatonic like that, when I just played Dorian a minute ago, that's one of the notes right there. So a lot of times guys like John Mayer or Clapton or Bonamassa or Eric Johnson, they're using that as an extra note to add to their pentatonic, or they're using that as like a pathway to bend into it without actually sitting on the note. Okay, so that gives you more things you could work with there, right? So you could do your pentatonic lick and then add, or you could add all of those things up. So what if I had pentatonic, and look, here's the blue note. Hey, look, all of that stuff right there, okay? And then I had all of this stuff here when I went, see there's, so look at that. I've got that, and then we've got the note from Dorian here, and the one from pentatonic. So you've probably heard like Stevie Ray Vaughan going, right? So that's all of that stuff going on there. Okay, so remember, all modes are names for certain steps of the scale. Okay, and different types of scales have different modal names. But basically, you have to explore, every time you try a different scale, each of the scale steps will have a certain flavor, and they will pair with certain chords, and they're going to have a variety of usefulness based on if you like that melody over the chords. Okay, but in this case, we've got the A minor to the D major, okay? And all of that fits inside of there. So what you have to start thinking about doing, and this happens a lot, and I'll kind of show you the chart here for a second. I have to basically think about taking box 1 of minor pentatonic, so A minor, or the blue note, okay, and overlaying that over what I'm calling box 3 of an E minor or a G major scale, however you want to think about it. So we can find that because, like I'll kind of show you, if I'm thinking box number 1 in G major, it looks like that. And I'll show you on the chart, but and I addressed this in a previous lesson on fingering patterns and stuff, so take a look at that. But in your basic kind of caged fingering, patterns, that would be E minor, so open, right? Of course, I wouldn't really finger it that way, but that's just so you can visualize the shape. There's E, there's G. So from there, the very next note, if this is G, the very next note in the scale, there it is right there, is A, or we could walk up A. So as long as I can find that, let's keep walking up. So that's box 2. Here's box number 3. Okay? So box number 3 in the minor major scale pattern, okay, targeting my A's, is the one that's going to align over box number 1 in pentatonic for this sound. Okay, so if I were playing the backing track, okay, so let's just walk over it slow. So let's say if I'm going, there's Dorian, okay, pentatonic, blues, so I can blend these things. Okay, so these are just all sorts of different ideas, okay? And this kind of builds on things we've talked about in previous lessons, where you could take the double stop ideas we talked about in previous lessons and apply them to that Dorian mode, because remember, it's just a major minor scale. But now you have a different sound. You have a full scale that will work over both chords. And even if you didn't do that, using the Dorian over the A minor chord, or A minor 7 or A minor 6, it's going to give you a different flavor that gives it automatically the jazzy bluesy thing, okay? Now, Eventually, we're going to take a look at adding chromatic passing tones and things like that to make it sound jazzy, but that's the next step with these things. You know, so like if I were to do right? So I was just kind of doing that slow there, not really in rhythm there, so you could kind of hear it. Okay, but that's a great way to practice these things. If you want to go between and blend different boxes in different, you know, with different types of scales, you're going to want to go maybe box by box and just try to walk up and down. And then maybe just go backwards and go, okay, now I'm going to go pentatonic. And maybe I'll go up doing blues this time. And I'm going to come down, Dorian. Hey, you probably heard this on an Eric Johnson thing. Or Bonamassa does that a lot, okay? So you can practice blending them. And then what I would do is play musical chairs where you start to basically go, okay, switch somewhere in between, right? So you go like, switch, switch. See, so I'm just jumping between them. And then once you're comfortable with that, you go, okay, there's going to be basically a 2-box offset between the 3 different types of scales, right? So like, remember box 3 in my major minor scale, in this case A Dorian, okay, is located over box 1. And that's how that would walk up the neck. The other thing to think about is whenever you're practicing these things, what you want to do is find your target. So here's A. And I want to practice going between those. So I want to be able to go, and then I would stop there. So you learn the sound of it and you learn the target point. And then we're going to hit it again and go. And then we come down. So you're really learning the sound of Dorian. And then we're going to do that in maybe another box. Here's box number 2. Here's your A. But what you want to do is be able to find your targets and start and stop at them. Okay, I also want to be able to start at my targets and play every single available note going up and down. Okay, so let's say if I'm here, even though that's A, I want to know there's notes here, you know? So I can go, and then I can go here and go all the way descending. So from there, okay, then you might want to mix it up. So you go, okay, let me just see if I can mix it up. And I'm trying to see if I can screw myself up, you know? And mess that all up there. But not having that problem. And then I started on a target there. See, and I'm going through like 3-note per string patterns. You could see it's like 4-note per string. Okay, so there's all these different things that you could do with that. But for any mode, any scale, you want to be able to hit your targets. Okay, and then start and stop where you need to. And then after that, you can get more complicated with this. Okay, so I hope that has helped you guys out. Let me know in the comments if there's a particular thing you guys would like help with, or in terms of soloing or any sort of playing technique. But I'm going to keep going along this route here and probably start introducing you guys to the sound of different modes.